just even considering letting Congress get involved.
Yeah.
They can't. The only reason we hear about politicians in this country is not because they're doing their job, it's because they're not. So that's the
Yeah.
last thing. My wife's right. And honestly, they're just errand boys and errand girls that go to Washington. They're supposed to do what their constituents tell them. But we don't need them trying to fix college athletics. You know who can fix it? The fans. And you know how they're going to do it, Chris? By when they don't renew their season tickets.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, look, higher ed is run by people that have never lived in the real world. They're ideologues. That's who runs the NCAA. I mean, all the things that you said with the portal and everything, those are all, but they all fall under leadership.
Sure.
And again, it's like asking. My 10-year-old son plays baseball, but he couldn't go out and hit Max Scherzer tomorrow. I just think that's kind of the ask we're making. It feels like to me.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel like it just? I just feel like it's like everyone's just, it's like hot potato, right? It's like you just want. Nobody really wants to be holding it when it breaks. So nobody really wants to be responsible. Everyone knows it needs to break. Everyone knows it needs to hit rock bottom. Everyone knows it's messed up. So the question remains is like, well, who's going to be responsible at the end? Because somebody's always, they're always the scapegoat. So nobody really wants to, sort of take that leadership role. We get excited about SEC meetings and all, we get excited about all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like we can't even figure out who makes all the decisions and and where this is all coming from, because I don't think we ever really understood the landscape to begin with, because it's been driven by TV ratings and revenue and everything else. And it's like it's hard to it's like we just keep band-aiding something that was already broken, and then we just broke it some more, and then we said, okay, now go. It wasn't a perfect thing to begin with. So it's like any problem that you have. So, it's like I have a problem on streaming or something. I work the problem. You work the line of the problem until you find the origin of the problem. Then you fix it there first, and then you go backwards and you fix everything subsequently. So we just never really had here we are, talking about all this other stuff. And oh, by the way, we got, 12 play, we're going to go to this playoff system, 12 teams and all this other stuff this year. I mean, it's everyone's, including Greg Sankey's, everyone's like, we'll wait till 2025. Let's kick the can, right? Yeah. Just down the road again. Let's just we'll keep figuring it out. And I just feel like how are we ever going to sort it out?
Well, Brendan's right, Chris. We've played kick the can, just kick it down. That's why we got NIL. Nobody dealt with some sort of a revenue sharing plan. And had we done that, we wouldn't have this. I mean, who would have thought that 17 and 18-year-old kids would start telling you what to do? I mean, it's unimaginable. And this is not because I'm a parent of 4 kids. That's not it, Chris. You nailed it, and so did Brenden. There's no accountability. And I like Perry Mason. Go Gators. Those Jets need to be all over recruiting. That's great. Go recruit. The terms of endearment in life, in business, follow the money trail, Chris. You know that. Chris, what do you think is going to happen with this collaboration? You think Sankey's going to be the one that leaves going, we tried to get them to come on board. They're not on board. We're going to do it. The SEC.
I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of bandwidth on that yet, because I mean, look, here's the thing, guys. I didn't know you a year ago, 2 years ago, but if I had, we'd be having the same conversation.
Yeah.
So I kind of get woken up when I feel like there's a chance for something to happen. Now, here comes the part where I speak out of both sides of my mouth. I think if there is a chance for it to happen, it's probably going to take a Greg Sankey or somebody like that getting involved in solving something, because I think I trust him more than I do a lot of the other people who've let this fester and become an issue.
Yeah. Chris, let me ask you something. We're building this Sidelines SEC Sports Network. You are putting out content how many days a week, and how much content? To me, what you're doing, because I have a lot of people that are complimenting you on the great work that you're doing and your team. why can't we get more honesty from not all the SEC network, but you can't have a bunch of Kool-Aid drinkers. We need more truth brokers, and you're one of them.
Well, number one, people in our profession and people in life like to be liked. You've got to be willing to risk not being liked for an opinion for the sake of honesty. Number one, and number two, the money's too good. I don't make the money that the people that do those things make. And I'm not throwing stones at anybody, but higher ed and a lot of things it's a club, and it's you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. I worked in higher ed for nearly a couple of decades while I was doing this part-time. That's just the way life works. There's a lot more success to be had for the individual who goes with the flow than for the one who rubs against the grain. Now, look, the people that rub against the grain are the ones that eventually get it changed, but it's not a financial windfall for those people. Usually they're the ones that get thrown on the fire, and you live to see another day better, but those people don't usually see the rewards. And our world is designed to reward people for this and that, which is mostly good, but not always.
Well, Chris, just to go along about not being politically correct, we are anything but PC. We are about the First Amendment, which we ardently and fervently revere, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's why I love having you on this show. Got a ton of respect for you. Met you last year at SEC Media Days. It's one of the best people I met in all the years of going to Media Days. So thank you. And I know you got stuff you got to do here in a minute, but let people know how they can follow you and keep up with all the great work that you do. And we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's a busy time. We cover baseball, basketball, and football, trying to do all three at once, which isn't easy. Had Jay Tate on my show yesterday, Auburn Sports. You probably know Jay or know of Jay. We talked a little Auburn football. I can't remember if we've aired that one yet or not, but we will. We are doing all kinds of basketball stuff. We're putting out content about 6 days a week right now. We are doing previews, predictions, power rankings, recaps, all those things. Search YouTube for Southeastern 14, and we haven't put it out yet, but I'm getting in the middle of baseball research. Going to do my research on all 14 teams this week. I've done a lot of it, but still wrapping it up. Working mornings, noons, and nights these days to get ready. But the baseball stuff hasn't hit our airwaves yet, but it's coming. And so Southeastern 14 on YouTube is where you get all that. And we're probably going to roll out a revamped website in the coming days. I'll wait till we get to the finish line with that to tell you more.
We feel your pain on that one, brother.
Oh, boy.
We're going to do the same thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. We should all and here's the thing. Here's the fun part about it. Is as soon as you catch your breath, oh, by the way, spring football's here. And oh, by the way,
I know.
Then you're just like, and then you got baseball craziness, and then you turn around and it's August.
And I'm commissioner of a major league fantasy baseball league on top of that. I don't know why I signed up for that.
You know what, Chris? I like you a lot. That was the dumbest thing you ever did right there. Right there. That right there is going to break you right there. That's
somebody's got to do it.
Someone's going to because that's more drama than the NIL, the SEC.
Boy.
There's more high drama in that than I don't even bother. I tried it once and I'm like, I'm out. You guys are crazy.
Yes.
Chris, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to being up in Nashville for the SEC tournament. Going to see you when we're up there. Nashville, just have SEC Media Days there every year. I'm from Memphis, obviously, but good God, Broadway, the whole thing, the Grand Hyatt Birmingham's great, but Nashville, there's more entertainment. It's just unbelievable job. Anyway, we will look forward to having you on next Tuesday. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you, guys. God bless everybody.
You too, Chris.
God bless you, man.
And we have Yancy's been sitting in our green room.
Yancy, thank you so much for your patience. A native of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, over in the Pine Country, born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, Warren County. And he does the Rebel Yell Hotline Monday nights, 6 p.m. Sports 56 WHBQ in Memphis, and Super Talk Mississippi. That's 2 syllables, Mississippi. Yancy, look, let's just start with Ole Miss. Living in Memphis, the Ole Miss Mafia, they run a lot of Memphis. I mean, there are so many Ole Miss grads up there. I got a ton of Ole Miss friends, and they're all asking me the same question, and that is, Lane Kiffin. Is he really taking Ole Miss where we haven't been in 60 plus years? Because I'm looking, you and I talk a lot. And Brenden, Yancy last year, 3 weeks before anybody else did, the canary in the coal mine was Yancy Porter. He goes, guys, don't be surprised if Ole Miss doesn't make a run to hire Chris Beard. You heard it here first, he said, Yancy Porter. But you and I talk about Lane Kiffin. This year, a lot of people had low expectations for the football team. They had no expectations for basketball, but they forget the most important factor in this equation: people. People make a difference. Lane Kiffin, he's at Ole Miss. And the other night I sent you that meme. Kiffin interested in the offensive coordinator position at Alabama. You know what that tells you? He's a hell of a football coach.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, he's a guy that's he's kind of, if you think about the NIL, the portal era, I would think if you open up the dictionary, there would be Lane Kiffin. He's kind of the guy that signifies the new wave, the new era of where college football is right now.
Yeah. Brenden, at
Well, first of
Florida.
all, is that not true? Because it was trending on Twitter. Okay, Yancy. So I saw it on Twitter. It's gotta be true. Excuse me, X. I saw it on
Yes,
X.
X.
It has to be true. Come on. I mean, it was
I
right in
know.
the, it was right in the wake
Yeah.
of Chip Kelly going to be offensive coordinator. Then you've got, and then right down after that, you've got Billy Napier not hired an offensive coordinator. So I was like, man, maybe this NIL deal, everyone just was screw being a head coach. I want to be an OC, and that's a better job for me.
Yeah, it's this next year is going to be fun. It never ends at Ole Miss. They're already talking about Chris Beard and the Louisville opening in basketball, or Arkansas if they got an opening over there. And Lane Kiffin is every single year, any job opening around the country. Is Lane going to go here or there? So you just kind of get immune to it after a while.
Well, Yancy, Brenden, I don't know how much time you spend in Oxford. And it's not just Oxford, it's Mississippi, it's the Mid-South. That's just Oxford is an awesome town to live in. Brenden, you would love it. Up
I've
on
been
the
there.
square.
Yeah.
Go to
I've been
Square Books. There's 2 Square Books. There's there's so many great restaurants: City Grocery, Downtown Grill, Proud Larry's, the Candy Shop, Chicken on a Stick at the Chevron Station, Abner's. Abner, my little brother in the fraternity, Matt White, that was his little brother. They went to Jeff Davis High School in Montgomery, and Abner could have walked on at Auburn, but Abner White went to Ole Miss and played and started. And it's just that, I mean, I'll just say this, Yancy. If I'm Chris Beard, and I don't know if he's got kids or what, but and I'm making that kind of money, and I can live in Oxford, Mississippi with the quality of life. You don't have to lock your doors. You can walk anywhere you want to go. I mean, that stuff matters, Yancy. And in the case of Lane Kiffin, I was kidding with you. I saw that the other night, and I said, that's just people. You've got a good coach when he's being rumored to be going everywhere in the country, but staying where he is. You've been around Chris Beard some. How intense is this guy? And what are the players saying about him?
In person, he's really laid back. Honestly, he's not stomping and romping like you would think during a football game, basketball game. Excuse me. He's really laid back, easy going. And honestly, you would think during the games, he's very laid back as well for the most part. Now, yes, he does get intense a lot of times, but a lot of times he's just chilling on the bench. He's not one to really get around. He doesn't yell at the players. He encourages them. He's not like a Bruce Pearl. I mean, Bruce, he looks like every game he sweated 50 pounds off, right? He's Beard is more laid back than what I thought he was going to be like before he coached his first game. I'll say that.
Well, and I'm telling you, uh, and that is it's like Lane Kiffin. People think he's this extrovert, and he's not. I mean, you've been around him, but just people over and over will tell you when the camera's on, he's one thing, but he's much more reserved. But the bottom line is those two guys, they're two of the biggest names in the sport of football and college basketball. And they're both at Ole Miss. And you've got Bianco, who won a national championship in June of 22. These are the best last few years. This is the best time ever in Ole Miss sports history, isn't it, Yancy? That's what they were saying at the Beacon this morning.
It is, but right now, normally all the talk right now would be about baseball. Honestly, baseball is so big at Ole Miss. It's unusual, even for the SEC. It's just so much bigger than all the rest of the SEC outside of maybe Mississippi State. Probably that's about it. Those two schools there, Arkansas, LSU, love baseball. But at Ole Miss in Mississippi, it's just different. Baseball is just so important in the state of Mississippi. But this year, I mean, anywhere you walk, it's not about, hey, what's the weekend rotation going to be? Who's going to close the game? Who do you think is going to be leading off this season? It's all football. I mean, that's everybody. Everybody wants to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about next season. Ole Miss winning the national championship, the roster. Who's going to be that last piece at the running back rotation. That's what all the talk is about.
Well, I look at Ole Miss and Jackson Dart, and we're going to be down there March 2nd, Yancy, at the grand opening of the Vitamin Shop in Oxford. One of our sponsors, Justin Ross, and they're trying to get Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback from, where's he from? Canyon River, Utah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
What is he 20 yet?
I think he is. He was young when he entered college.
I mean, he's been at Ole Miss for 7 years, hadn't he?
No, he's
okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how old he was 17 his freshman year for the most part.
Okay, that's what it was.
18 midway through the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 20. He's 20 by now.
I'm going to say this, Brenden. Before, when Luke Altmaier came out of Starkville, Ole Miss recruited him from 8th grade. Okay, he was the heir apparent to be the quarterback when Matt Corral got hurt in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor. He came in and played, but Yancy said Jackson Dart's more of the gunslinger mentality that Lane Kiffin likes. You want to know what's going on at Ole Miss? Follow Yancy Porter. I mean, Yancy Porter is as sure a thing as Perry Mason curb stomping that sorry DA Hamilton burger on Perry Mason. I mean, Yancy, I'm serious. Now, let's just suppose you had a gathering of folks at the Beacon this morning.
Yeah.
Eating an M16. That's a meat and 16 sides, okay? An M16. But the Ole Miss community and Brenden, y'all were talking about this, and Yancy and everybody listening, do yourself a favor. Watch the Buddy Martin show weeknights at 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Brenden produces it. They get into some great discussions. It's a lot about Florida, obviously, but it's about the SEC and the big picture. Somebody asked the other night about the Ole Miss NIL collective, and I think they thought, I believe maybe they had 5,000. I think the Ole Miss Grove collective, Yancy, has over 11,000 people. Am I correct? I stand corrected if I'm wrong.
It had over 10,000 a few months ago. I don't know what number they're at right now, but they're trying to get it up to 20,000. That's kind of the end goal means is to have 20,000 contributors. I know they were halfway there a couple months ago. I don't know the exact number where it is right now.
Okay. All right. Well,
I
money
love the
wise.
growth. That's a great spot. And what I like about the Ole Miss and the Auburns, and this as SEC starts of morphing and changing, people don't understand. I've been to every SEC school. I've been to every football stadium. And I've visited there over the years with my father and whatnot with different organizations, and working in TV, and it's certainly, as you go east to west, everything is sort of gets progressively different. By the time you hit Boulder, you're like, I don't know what's going on, but it's a whole nother vibe. And just ask Dion, like, by
Talk
the way,
about that vibe, Brenden.
well, it's the People's Republic of Boulder, man. It's like, it's its own deal. And I don't know if they're right, left, center, but they're all about them. They got the number one place in the country to live in every year, and they tell you all about it. And they got more rules than a one-way streets, in a downtown. It's really quite the place. And look, by the way, our boy Dion out there, I mean, he's, what has he done? I haven't been much in the news lately as far as anything other than just being a bunch of trouble for the NCAA and getting some fines up there. And I think that's a sort of a good depiction of what's going on, like how he's a fish out of water, and we'll see him migrate back to the South, where he understands the landscape a little bit better. In a place like Ole Miss, you've got these things that will be legacies and traditions forever. And that's what, we talk about on this show and the Buddy Martin show a lot, is that we have to learn, in the midst of this madness of the NIL and transfer portals and everything else, is that we have to preserve these traditions. And because a lot of these other schools, they kind of have these traditions, but they don't really. And I think that's what's key about, having, a good program at Ole Miss, and having a Lane Kiffin and having these guys who will sort of, preserve these things, because, you got Saban's gone, right? You've got, a lot of these old guard who understood that and respected that, the whole sense of, like, you got to know the rules before you break the rules. I just think it's really key for the Alabamas and the Floridas and the Ole Misses and the Auburns and the Tennessees and all that, as we see Texas and all these, these two new schools come on board, that people understand what the Southeastern Conference is really about. And that's why I like Ole Miss. And that's why I root for them. And I think that's what people don't understand around the country, is that if you have a team in the SEC and your team's out, come bowl season, you're pulling for the SEC to win, right? You generally, yes. even if it's Georgia and I'm Florida, I still want the SEC to win because it matters to me.
Yeah. Brenden just nailed it. Yancy, that is true. I was going crazy when Ole Miss was wrapping up that national championship. I was listening to the voice of the Ole Miss Rebels, David Kellum. I mean, he was in tears. If you've ever worn the red and the powder blue of Ole Miss, I mean, this is the biggest moment. I mean, and that was baseball. Ole Miss has over 10,000 season ticket holders in baseball, with 5,000 people on the waiting list, Yancy. Again, name me a school in America outside of Mississippi State, Ole Miss, maybe Arkansas or LSU, that's doing that. I get so damn tired of the snide, snickery, cheap shots at Mississippi. I don't know. Ole Miss and State, great rivalry. They hate each other. I mean, in competition, I don't think they hate each other, really. You've got Mississippi State people in your but you've got Mississippi State people in your family, don't you?
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. But
Okay.
there is no more hostile environment than Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I know Alabama and Auburn would like to disagree on that, but
I don't think there's.
it's.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, just like baseball being a little bit different in the state of Mississippi, so is that rivalry between the two schools. Because really, I think it comes down to the fact that there's really not a whole lot else to do in Mississippi. Um,
That's true.
When you get
Hunting
down
and
to it,
fishing.
I've been in Florida,
You got to talk
you
about
got
something.
Miami
Yeah.
and you got Jacksonville and you got the
Well,
Orlando
but
Mavs.
Gainesville's
You
in
got
Ocala is in the middle of kind of nowhere. I mean, it ain't no close. We're 90 miles from everything, but we're still 90 miles from everything. By the way, I want to
yeah.
bring in Rodney Orr to this conversation, who's joined us here.
There we go.
Hey, good morning, Rodney. Thanks for joining the program. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, guys. I'm sorry I'm driving this morning, but I hope you can hear me well.
Oh, we hear you perfect. Thanks.
You're doing great. And Rodney, thank you so much for joining us on the May Veterinary Clinic Tider Insider Report. In 1964, Dr. Wayne May opened the doors for the first of two clinics in Tuscaloosa and Northport, the best veterinary medicine, healthcare treatment anywhere. Tuscaloosa, Northport, Alabama, open every day of the week. Sundays, drop off and pick up only at Camp May, where they have an outdoor pool for the dogs and cats. And they even have connecting cat condos. Let's be honest, guys and gals. We all knew the old hag at the end of the street that had 20 or 30 cats in there. We saw it on the news. They could all stay there together in the connecting cat condos. May Veterinary Clinic, Dr. Waller May, Dr. Guy May, their associates, the vet techs. They've got sidelines on Google Smart TV right now. Howdy, everybody.
Hello,
Rodney.
kiddies.
Hey, I could go for a taco burger or some tacos from the Casa right now, but I'll just live vicariously through you as you're driving down McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. What's going on with the Tide? Or as John Forney would say, Stedman Sealy touchdown brought to you by Bromberg's Jewelers. But Rodney, how are you? I get wound up when you're on here.
That's an intro.
Yeah. I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. It's a lot going on here. Obviously, like people say, there's never a dull moment in Alabama football. If it is, just hang on a second. Things going to change. So, but there's been a little bit of change here. Obviously, this week. Ryan Grubb's going to Seattle, the offensive coordinator, and then also not Sam Huff. Boy, that tells you how old I am. Sam Huff.
I love it.
Scott Huff, who was the offensive line coach that came in with Kalen DeBoer, is going with Grubb to Seattle. So a couple of spots on the staff. I think right now that we'll see Kalen DeBoer stay within his staff here because they've got a lot of guys who have a lot of familiarity, have experience play calling. So I think that's what we're going to see. And then maybe they'll bring in one other offensive line coach is going to take maybe by the end of this week, hopefully they'll have a guy, but I think they're still looking for one.
Is the sky falling, Rodney? I mean, because outside the world of where everyone else is, it's everyone thinks, well, this is the demise. This is the end. Everyone's running scared.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The bottom line is how is Kalen DeBoer running? And I think he's extremely confident. From everything I gather, I think he's really confident in the guys that he'll promote or he'll put in those positions. So no, I mean, are Alabama fans some Alabama fans overreacting? Of course, they always do. I mean, they overreact to just about anything. I can't tell you how many times I heard on TiderInsider.com that Nick Saban didn't know how to manage a game. He only won how many? 297. So anyway,
it's relentless.
Yes, it is. It is.
Rob, I think your mic came off.
Several questions I have. I've had some texts. I'm trying to respond to them. And here's the first one. I know some of the guys left, obviously, active players, but also in this recruiting class that's ranked number 2 behind Georgia. Exactly how many of those recruits that Alabama signed in late December are not on the roster now or not scheduled to come in in June?
How many are not on the roster right now?
Yeah, I'm talking about of that signing class that they signed in December.
Only 2 are not coming. Julian Sayin.
Okay.
Julian Sayin is, obviously transferred to Iowa State. And then also Jameer Grimsley, who is a defensive back from the state of Florida, who really came down to Alabama and Florida and chose Alabama. And then, of course, when the Saban announced his retirement, Jameer decided he would just stay close to home and go to Florida. So all the others are either here or a few that will not be here until June, but they are scheduled to be here. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay, because there's so many people have questions like, half the class is gone. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
No,
I thought there were 2 or 3, and that's like what you said. So, but of players like Caleb Downs, that one, and Isaiah Bond going to Texas and all, what was the total number of those players that left the team?
Okay, it's 27, but let's put that into perspective. They're about at 80 right now on scholarship. So it's not like they weren't carrying all those guys. A lot of those guys were leaving anyway. Okay, there was probably 6 or so that you wanted to keep that you really probably would have fought to keep. Caleb Downs being one of those, probably Caden Proctor. Isaiah Bond is a really good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a really good player. Amari Niblack, you certainly would have wanted to keep him. There's some guys, and when I say that about Bond, what I mean is he's not Waddle, he's not Judy, he's not, Ruggs or Devontae Smith, but he's a really good player.
Yeah. Yancy, jump in here.
Yeah, I don't think that there's the red flags that a lot of people have about Bama. I think I see what their coach did at Washington in such a short amount of time. I look for him to fill those positions that are now open with people that he's familiar with. When you go into a new program, especially like in Alabama, you don't want guys surrounding you that you don't have 100% trust in, that are 100% behind you. So I look for him to fill those holes with guys that he trusts. And Alabama's still loaded. That roster's still loaded. They're returning their quarterback, which is the utmost importance. I think the offensive line right now would be a big question mark, and the defensive backfield would be another question mark. And outside of those 2 positions, I don't think there's really a lot to worry about at Alabama right now.
No, I think you're right. It's corner. They probably need some corners in the transfer portal that comes open in April. And then I would say offensive tackle. They've got 4 right now that on the roster that are holdovers. 3 of those are redshirt freshmen. So they probably could use a definite offensive tackle or 2 that's got some experience. And like you said, other than that, I think they're in pretty good shape.
Rodney, we just got a few minutes left here. We're doing some changes on the show. We're shortening shows, and then in football season, we'll probably do some more longer ones. But a lot of people ask this question, and I don't know it. When will spring practice start, and when will Alabama's A-Day game be held?
March 4th is when it starts, and then April 13th is the A-Day game.
Okay, because I know there's a lot of support groups around the Southeastern Conference footprint of fans that get together. When does spring practice start? When is the spring game? And you really don't have a month without football, if you think about it. I mean, because February, somebody starts spring practice.
Well,
Rodney,
actually, Hawaii starts. It's already started spring practice at the end of January. So, I mean, if you really want to talk about the rainbows right now, we can get into it. So.
yeah, I mean, I see that Joe Bob from Utah, Alabama, just wanted to know, when will the Rainbows start spring practice? No, I mean, it is
Already
the
started.
look. Hey, Rodney, Brendan's right. Somebody's starting it. The interest in college football, it's and you and Yancy both can answer this. As crazy as the times are, Tony Barnhart's right. Not even the adults can mess this thing up. But season ticket sales and all like that, they're not going down, are they?
Well, you know what, Rob? I'll be honest with you. That's your expertise, not mine. I've got so many coaches and recruits to keep up with.
God.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know about all the other stuff.
Rodney, you and I do the same thing. I run GatorbaitMedia.com, and people don't understand the amount of stuff that you have to contend with, and the information that you need to keep up with is intense.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're right. Hey, listen, Rodney and Yancy, Brenden is now our executive producer for Sidelines. He's doing this show in the morning, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern, he's doing the Buddy Martin show. And in between, doing everything else,
running GatorBait and redesigning. What's the other show we're on?
Sidelines?
Redesign Sidelines.live.
Yeah.
So overhauling a website and then keeping up with and running YouTube shows by itself is a whole nother level of 30 hours plus a week, getting all the other back end stuff done right. So
yeah. Well, tonight, hey, catch it tonight at 6:30 p.m. Tyler Insider TV, Rodney Orr, Gary Harris on YouTube. You will
Great show,
definitely
by the
want
way.
to keep it. It is. It really is.
Yeah, I really like that show.
And Yancy, just in talking about this, what all you do with your business and Rebel Yell Hotline, you don't really have days off, but does it ever feel like work to any of y'all? Because it never feels like work to me. It is so much fun to get to talk sports with people and deliver it. And the only easy day was yesterday, Yancy.
Yeah, 27 years of doing the website of keeping up with Ole Miss athletics was enough for me. There was I think there was Forrest and Jamie Newberg and Scott Kennedy and myself when I first got in it, and then
Yep.
Rodney was in it, and Chuck Rouseville, and there was nobody left but me and Chuck, I think, and Rodney over there, and I was like, maybe it's time to retire from this.
Well,
Why is everybody gone but me?
Yeah.
We need to have
I feel
party.
your pain over there.
It takes a little bit of your soul.
I want to have a party and get everybody together of all these different schools, because you know what? We have these rivalries, but if we weren't all so good, they wouldn't mean anything. That's what I love about doing this show, the SEC. It is a lot of fun is an understatement. It's not the right word for it. And Rodney, you've also got your book, Bigger Than Bama, out there. Hope the sales are doing well. It's a hell of a story. I think will hit home to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sales are going really well, right now, as far as I know, according to the publisher. And so, really excited, because it is a story of not just about Alabama football, but about life. And, we talked about that last week. I know you don't have time to go over that again, but you know what, if you're an Alabama fan, or, if you're in a hopeless situation that you feel like it's against all odds, I think we have a story there that can relate to people in those situations. But it's you can go on RodneyOrr.com. That's RODNEYORR.com, and you can purchase the book. It's only $19.95. Or if you forget RodneyOrr.com, you can always look on Amazon. We prefer you go to RodneyOrr.com, but Bigger Than Bama.
Or you can actually go to this chat room right now. We got a QR code with the cover of your book up right now, Rodney.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I run that. We run that every time you're on. And then in the chat room, if you want to go click on there, you'll see Sideline Sports Network. You can click on that. That takes it to Rodney's website, so we keep it local. and all the proceeds and stuff are a little bit more for those who have put it together. So check it out in the chat room, or go ahead and click on the QR code.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank y'all, both of y'all, Rodney, Chris Lee, Yancy Porter, Brenden. Unbelievable stuff. We most often see the face of Christ in the least among us. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world. God bless you, man. We're go out and do something great today. We'll see you tomorrow. Got another great show in store. Thanks, everybody.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am R.A. Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.